by the time you see this video, 4.9 is probably live, and I'll just come out and say it. This patch isn't going to fix the game. I think my viewers are a little more enlightened than most, so I bet you already knew that. Roll the credits, right? Not quite. While everyone's arguing over whether CIG should have held the patch back for more bug fixing, I think they're missing what's happening behind the scenes. It's way more interesting than 4.9 itself. I really don't care about this patch, I'm just trying to decode what's going on. I'm not usually a conspiracy theorist because I believe more than one thing can be true at the same time. For example, I like both Star Wars and Star Trek. Your head just exploded? I'm sorry, it's not a paradox. So when CIG's Chief of Technology, Benoit, I can't say his name, tells us that they're changing the development process to catch bugs before they ever make it into the code, I'll choose to believe him. It makes sense. Then they announce that they're holding back most of 4.9 to focus on core stability. Okay, again, that tracks, I see the pattern here. And then there's the thread that's dangling in front of our faces. 4.9 really has none of these things. I'd like to believe it's because it's only been a few weeks since they told us about the changes, but again, I'm not that naive either. I don't think CIG makes a studio-changing decision in the morning and then records Star Citizen live before lunch. No. I think this has been their course behind the scenes since at least 4.8 came out. So, then if that work isn't reflected in 4.9, where is it? The clue's in this dev post by Sylvan CIG, but you'll need the context to fully understand it. If you're not familiar with him, he's been the driving force behind the VR implementation in Star Citizen. In terms of development, VR has been progressing at a rate that eclipses anything else in the verse. Oh, they've been very careful to label it as experimental, but I believe it's anything but. Because when you stick a microphone into Chris Roberts' face, you're going to get some epic clips that could turn into cell phones and a few new promises that cause an even bigger headache from the studio. But none of them is bigger than this.
How is there more coming for VR in Star Citizen?
Yeah, there's definitely more. I mean, so for a start, I mentioned it before, but Squadron will be fully VR supporting too.
Oh wow!
So you can play that, which is going to be pretty cool. Yeah, it'll be very cool. You can reach out and touch Gillian Anderson. Hey, not inappropriately if you want.
But I just want to be sure you know we're live, right?
Yeah. But so we're pretty committed to, making the VR implementation the best that you've seen in gaming for any game. I mean, I think already plan, and so when Squadron releases, it'll be full featured, and the same parity will be in Star Citizen. But
if you know anything about VR, what Chris just promised is a level of integration that I wasn't sure we'd ever see in Star Citizen. Full VR is the type of thing that you usually get in VR-focused games like Beat Saber and Arizona Sunshine. What we have in Star Citizen today is a seated VR experience. Our headsets allow us to view the world, and our interactions are still via controls like the keyboard or the joystick. VR has become so well integrated in Star Citizen that I can even use VR during FPS combat and only have minimal disadvantage. Sylvan has essentially said the quiet part out loud. He said there aren't many changes for 4.9 as we're busy with other things. Other things like all the VR work for Squadron? It looks like CIG's pulled teams off the PU that can contribute to finishing Squadron 42. That makes perfect sense. I think CIG's crunching for Squadron 42, and we've yet to reach the inflection point that determines what happens next. We all know that there's a Squadron 42 event in Manchester coming up in October. They've invited some of the bigger content creators in the space along with the press. The only thing that we don't know is what's going to happen at that event, and I don't think CIG does either. Not yet. I think there are realistically 3 branching universes coming out of it. Think of it as Schrodinger's Squadron. 1. The event is a big reveal and the game launches in the week following it, right on the heels of the event. That's the 42nd week of the year, and it would be very on brand for them. 2. The event becomes a celebration of the game. A launch date is given, it's crystallized, and we finally get to say, yes, we'll get Squadron 42 here instead of when it's ready. Or 3, and this is the one I'm most afraid of, the event turns into the game is real, we swear, look at all these folks who got to try it showcase, and then oops, we're slipping to 2027. I don't know which one we're going to get, and I know that CIG doesn't either. So, by delaying the 4.9 features, they've essentially bought themselves 2 extra months to work on Squadron without too much disruption to everything else. Now you know. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the verse.